Hello, I'm Binzer Flynn, and welcome to the Flinncast.
So, how many episodes of Star Trek have you watched in the last 24 hours?
How many how many episodes of Discovery are there?
I want to say close to 30, probably 12, 12, and 5, maybe?
Yeah, so can't be that many because I spread this actually over 2 days. Started Monday. I think I only got to the Mirror Universe on Monday. And then Tuesday basically powered for the rest of season one and about half, three quarters of season two. And then late this morning and this afternoon I finished off two and had just like literally 1 minute ago finished up to whatever episode 5 of season 3.
Oh, good.
You've watched 34 episodes in the last 2 days. Three
That sounds,
days.
sounds about right.
Pretty good.
When I put my mind to something, I will do it. So there you go. Now it helps that I really enjoyed season two, hence why I stayed up till 6 in the morning this morning to go through it. But yes, I got it done.
That's a good sign. It's like a book you can't put down.
I made the joke to Jody that you can tell Susan's not home.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, Nomad, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I just figured out that my mic wasn't working for the last like 10 minutes.
Yeah, you're good now.
How's the COVID life in ye ol' Ottawa?
Well, right now it's not too bad for me personally because I'm working 1 week on, 1 week off, and there's really not a whole lot going on in the world right now. So even when I'm at work, I'm not really doing much.
Everyone's nervous out this way because we can feel cracks in the Atlantic bubble happening, so everyone's just waiting for the lockdown part two.
The thing that kind of frustrates us right now is that you don't really know what's going to be open tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. We're kind of waiting on, like Ben said, we're like waiting on bated breath type deal.
A lot of people are saying, oh, they're trying to wait till Christmas, and I'm like, I agree with Chief. I think it was it said, I don't think we're going to make it till the end of the month. Not at the way things are going.
Not the rate we're going, because Strength did the other day. We had 3 cases in September, then 20 cases in October. Now we're up to 40 in November so far. We're only halfway through the month, or a little more than. It's only 2 or 3 at a time, but it's every day 2 or 3 at a time.
And let's put this in perspective here. March and April, I mean, until the Atlantic bubble was created and such, we had about 1,000 cases over 6 months. And now we've only added, what, 50 since then? Maybe?
Yeah, give or take.
It is about perspective, and you're right. We are still doing really good, but it's also relative because then, like, we were doing so good, and now it's creeping up again, so everyone's getting nervous, right? So, but we are still doing okay.
Yeah, and you know what? And everyone, pretty much everyone was warned about this. We were going to have a second wave, even if we basically created a virtual wall around ourselves, it was going to creep back in eventually, and probably this is more than likely our version of the second wave. And if this is it, I'm not terribly worried right now. Like like Nomad said, Ottawa is seeing like 50 cases a day, and they're about 1 million people, about the same population, as Nova Scotia, roughly.
My worries, it's just the start, though. Like
It's
it's
like it's like don't hold your breath because it inevitably will get worse.
yeah.
Hoping not, because I mean, when I have to go out, or when and such like that, people without masks are the rare exception rather than people with masks. So I'm seeing in the Atlantic bubble, people are listening. They're listening to sound medical advice, and they're actually and when our health department puts out an order, like all masks inside all public places, people are listening. I think it gives me hope that it won't be as I hope it won't be as bad as it could be.
Then the flip side of that, here in Ottawa on Monday, they had an anti-mask protest at a Costco.
Oh, it's fucking idiots. God.
Yeah, we had one at the Mumford Walmart a couple weeks ago.
That felt pretty flat though, didn't it?
It really did. They were trying to have like a shop with no masks event, but Walmart said "fuck you, no."
Yeah, no one told Walmart, right?
I'm actually looking at the Star Trek episodes, and I'm like, ooh, those adds more things I want to talk about. All right, Vinzer, do you want to do Star Trek first, or do you want to do Star Wars first?
Oh, we're saving Mandalorian for the main feast. We're gonna appetize on, well, it's still a pretty big meal on its own, but Discovery. But first, let's talk about, okay, Juice, you've been binging Discovery. Let's hear your overall thoughts.
Overall thoughts. It certainly has the ideals of Trek. After I started getting 5 or 6 shows into it, I started to enjoy it. A lot of people warned me that you could basically blow through the Klingon War arc, and it wouldn't really do much. But if you got past it, it would get better, and they were right. Season 2 was a hell of a lot better than season 1. That felt much more Trekish. Season 3, I'm really enjoying season 3, mainly because it's an entirely new slate. They can do basically whatever the fuck they want, and it's not going to fuck with any canon. So, yay. On the canon bit, I have reconciled it as to this is, you know what, Star Trek, the Star Trek alternate universe theory is well known. I mean, it's how we got the mirror universe. So you know what? This is just another universe. It's the same thing as the Kelvin timeline. It's the same thing as I guess the 4 series and many movies that have that the original Trek has been based in. This is just another timeline or alternate universe. And you know what? Once I put that in my head, I'm good with it. Having said
Wait,
that,
where are you at? Where are you at right now? What?
I'm done.
He's
I'm
caught
up
up.
to. I'm caught up. We figured out. Christ and I figured out. I watched about 34 episodes of Star Trek in 2.5 days.
See, I don't feel like it's an alternative universe. I feel like they intertwined everything really nicely together at the end of season 2.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? When you travel through time, everything's off the table. Frankly.
Well, I think it just means it's nice and separate from our current, the time period we're used to being in. This is like Cry says, it's like Old Republic and Star Wars. It's so far separated they can do what they like.
Exactly. Having said that, I very much appreciate, especially season 2, the various visual and audio Easter eggs that you pick up while watching the episodes. I mean, door swooshes, background noise, the way certain things are designed, including the Enterprise, which I like this. I like this. I like the way they designed the Enterprise in this season.
Yeah, it's new, but it's still really recognizable, isn't it?
Very recognizable. You could pretty much pick out it was the Enterprise immediately, but there's still subtle design enough subtle design changes that it fit with Discovery. I mean, shit, even the offset of the bridge on the Enterprise was a nice Easter egg. So yeah, no, overall impression, you know what, I will admit, at first I thought I would not like this, and the first couple episodes when it first came on 2.5 years ago, I wasn't. I said, "Yeah, this is not for me." But now that I've powered through everything and I'm caught up, I'm definitely a fan.
How excited are you for Strange New Worlds now with Pike and Spock? Did you like the new Spock?
I found the new Spock fascinating.
For me, I mean, the beard was one thing, but I found when he shaved and walked onto the bridge in his uniform, it all really clicked in for me.
Yeah, he definitely looked. He very much looked like would probably look like how Leonard Nimoy would look in his 20s, I suspect. because I think Nimoy was into his 30s when he played Spock in the original series
I think so. I'm not sure.
or something along those lines. Anyway, but you know what? I actually like the beard. He could have held on to the beard and I wouldn't have been angry.
What year did TOS air? Like 63?
Oh, 68, 69, I think.
No, it was before I was born.
It was the first episode. The original release was September 8th, 1966, and it lasted 3 seasons.
Nimoy was born in 31, so he would have been 35 when it aired.
Hot damn, I was right. Anyway, I like Spock. I like Pike. Very down to earth. Very he seems he would he would attract your, how do I put this? There's a word for it, and I'm trying to think of what the word is, and I can't think of it right now.
Charisma.
Yeah, charisma. There we go. His charisma stat was like probably 19. So, actually, I even like number 1 too. Now, number 1 was actually in the original, the Cage.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, the Menage. Was it the Menagerie?
Menagerie?
Or the Cage? I think it was the Menagerie. Yeah, the Menagerie episode. Yeah, the original Menagerie episode number 1, who was actually Miguel Barrett, Roddenberry.
Yeah.
This number 1 I actually liked a lot too. Very much her own woman and wouldn't take shit off anybody type of person. So
Also Mystique.
Yeah, I didn't know who she was at first. It didn't click in with me. Like I said, this is my previous cast. I was like, I find her really attractive, and I don't know why. And it was just, yeah, it's Mystique with brown hair.
right, if they bring that whole cast together for Strange New Worlds, I'm sold.
Yep. So it's going to be those 3 because we looked it up when that was airing, and basically there's no other Enterprise crew members that are on the Enterprise before Kirk comes along. So like Bones isn't on the Enterprise beforehand, and neither is Scotty.
We were wondering if they're going to have representations of the old of the crew from the Menagerie on this Brave New Worlds show or not.
Well, here, like, it's disappointing to me that would rule out the idea of seeing a young Dr. McCoy, but there's still a chance that we could see guest shots of those characters in the show and they're not part of the crew. And I for one, would love to see a young Bones.
Yeah, that's fair. They were clearly in Starfleet before they were on the Enterprise, so
Exactly.
they could be cadets or they could be, ensigns on other ships or space stations or whatever. I mean, it's supposed to be a deep space mission again, so there's less of an opportunity for that.
Either that, or if they figured out how many seasons they're going to have this show run for, and nowadays that seems to be the modus operandi for a lot of these series. They may start introducing some of the more familiar characters towards the end of the series, and then final episode, Enterprise comes in from its from its 5-year mission on Pike, and you have the change of command ceremony, and Kirk takes over. So you never know.
I heard a rumor somewhere, I don't know if it was true or not, that they were actually casting for a young Kirk and he would be in the show somehow at some point, which I'm for that. I think that'd be cool.
Sure, why not? I mean, shit. We heard about Kirk's past as an ensign on the Defiant, and I'm sure he's a lieutenant commander and all that fun stuff. So, I mean, if he was on the Enterprise as maybe as a commander before he became a captain, certainly would not be impossible.
Yeah, none of this backdoor cadet to captain bullshit.
I hated that. I really did.
Yeah, it was kind of dumb.
I know they have to move things along for the movie, but still, come on.
One other thing I liked was the updated uniforms were really crisp.
Oh, me too. I like them.
Very much so. And if you look at them closely, they do a good job of morphing from the completely blue uniforms on Discovery to these solid color top, black bottom ones, because you definitely see elements of Discovery's uniforms in the Enterprise uniforms.
All right, so let's get into more detail on the last 2 episodes of Discovery. So the first one's episode 4, which brings the Trill into things, and that episode deals with the Trill and Adira and the overall mental state of the crew and the trauma they've gone through and how they're dealing with it.
That dinner was sketchy. Like, it was really good at the start. I'm like, yeah, they're coming together. And then it's like, Detmer's like, I'm going to do the most PTSD thing I can think of. Make a haiku about Stamets bleeding on the floor.
It was raw, but like it was very believable. You know, it's awkward and shit, but like that's what made it real.
Very cathartic.
Like that they're using Cuthbert more or Cole. What is the doctor's name off the top of my head?
Yes, Cuthbert. They actually are. I think now the main doctor again because the other lady that was primarily in season 2, you're seeing less of her now.
Yeah, I feel like Cuthbert is transitioning to like a counselor type role almost.
Well, considering the guy's had his extreme trauma himself and has come through with it okay, I guess. I guess it would make him qualified to be able to handle other people's trauma fairly well.
I dig his character. I enjoy anytime he's on screen. I like him. He's just fun to watch.
He's like a calming parent figure.
He's very reassuring.
He's also fucking handsome too.
Oh, there's that. Not really sure why the Trill bring axes to a phaser fight. That seemed kind of weird.
Actually, it's the first time I've ever seen Trill security before, because it's never you never see it on, you never saw it on DS9, or actually DS9 for the most part. Considering Dax was one of the primary characters, was a Trill. You got to see a Trill Homer a few times throughout the series. I actually never even saw security until now.
No, I don't think it was really required. It was nice to see it was nice to see what Trill is like in the 31st century. Interesting to know that they've lost a lot of hosts. So I wonder if Trill society is on decline.
Probably a lot of. I'm just surprised a lot of Trills were off planet when the burn happened, and they don't seem to be able to handle a repopulation program very well.
See, that's what surprised me. So, part of the being a joined Trill is giving the symbiont more like worldly experience and stuff like that. So I would have imagined it'd be the opposite. I would have imagined they were hurting for symbionts, not Trill to put the symbionts in.
So we have the first ever human Trill joining, and when they find that out, they are like so grossed out. They're like, "Well, fuck you! This is an abomination." But at the end of the episode, they do a complete 180. They're convinced.
That's wrong. There's been one other document in TNG,
Riker
and that's what Riker
permanently though, right? Riker had it removed.
Eventually, yes, but it's not like he was the first human to ever receive a Trill symbiont. Now, having said that, this is the first Trill human host that's actually been able to survive and host it normally.
Yeah.
So you kind of wonder then, have humans evolved more to a point where they're more pan-galactic medically, that they can handle things like that easier?
To me, it struck me as just a sort of case of natural selection where it's like the symbiotes are going to die out if they don't adapt. So it worked because it had to.
And we can see from Adira that it didn't work 100% in the first, at the start anyways. Like, she couldn't access any of her own memories or Tal's memories or anything. So it clearly wasn't perfect right off the go. Like, the symbiont was like, bodily functions, great. Shared memories, not so good.
I had to make that spiritual connection.
Yeah, keep in mind, as we learned in DS9, Trills actually go through a candidate program to figure out whether you're actually suitable to become a joined Trill. So I'm sure there's training throughout that program that allows them to be mentally capable of receiving all those memories when the Trill joins them.
So they have their movie night in the cargo bay. Seems to do the crew a bit of good. I've enjoyed the computer suggestions for crew therapy, which included coloring books and interstellar shopping. Works for me.
So that was, and it was cool to see the sphere asserting itself via the computer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now I'm gonna say the ship is haunted. So there you go.
So speaking of ships, moving into episode 5, they finally find Federation headquarters, and we get to see all kinds of cool new ships, organic and entirely holographic ships, which seems like a pretty makes sense evolution for Star Trek. That's really cool. But Voyager, like what was it, the 11th or 12th iteration of Voyager?
Voyager L, I think.
J,
Yeah,
Voyager J,
Voyager
which
J.
means 11 generations.
that's cool.
Plus the USS Nog.
Yeah, that was
there.
a wonderful tip of the hat to Aaron Eisenberg. I really like that.
Actually, it was funny. So I looked it up, and official canon is it's the Eisenberg class. So like that.
That's cool.
And the Constitution, which sounds like it's either a huge battleship or some sort of massive explorer vessel. It's nice to see Federation is getting into like some larger ships.
And it was nice that the Federation was apprehensive about Discovery. Like it didn't just show up and they rolled out the welcome mat with parades and fireworks and stuff.
They tried to they were going to separate the crew, and what struck me as really funny is that they go so far as to say that you technically being here is a temporal crime.
Hence the reason why they were so apprehensive about Discovery, considering they fought through a temporal war. So time travelers coming from the past or from the future and such like that, they're going to be extremely friggin' wary of them.
So earlier in one of the chats, Juice, you said how much you enjoy the Jet character, who we all love, but I particularly enjoyed her during the debrief, and she's like, "I'm gonna need something to eat," and she get like nachos at the debrief table.
Oh my god, Jet's one of my favorite characters. That deadpan,
Tig Notaro is hilarious.
that deadpan humor, brilliant.
So good. It plays so good with Stamets. Like I could watch those two all day.
Or I think what's going to happen is they're going to see the spore drive and this theory that Tilly has been trying to do to create a navigator that's non-organic. They're gonna be far enough in the future that they'll have figured it out by then, and they're gonna retrofit it into Discovery, and they're gonna start putting it in other ships, and that's gonna create conflict.
I think so too.
Well, I'm hoping next episode they're going to do a little bit of a refit on Discovery, because I think I get the feeling is they're going to use Discovery as like a courier ship, because obviously it can jump all over the place to try to reestablish contact with other Federation worlds or ex-Federation worlds, whatever. But man, I wouldn't send Discovery out there with that spore drive with no updated shields and no updated weapons, because it would get picked to pieces.
Yeah,
Well, I
for
mean,
sure.
last episode, the Earth Defense Force, one volley basically knocked their shields out, and those were friggin' patrol ships.
But see, I think the rest of the world, like the rest of the galaxy, because dilithium is in such short supply, I think the rest of the galaxy has moved to smaller ships. Like nobody's flying capital ships; they're flying more like frigates or smaller like 50-man cruise ships for size.
They did have some large ones at the Federation yards there, though, because one of the officers there makes a point of saying that it must have 1,000 or 2,000 people that it would accommodate that many people.
Yep.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, you're right. I don't think they do much exploring anymore.
I actually have a note here that one of the quotes from the episode was, "Exploration is a luxury because they're trying so hard to get things back together." And I say we don't have time to just go gallivanting around and exploring things.
Well, I think what's going to have to happen is they're going to have to start re-exploring. Get the old maps out and start going back to places they've been to before, and just start reasserting or reinserting old Federation territory.
Well, like they said, right? They hadn't been back to Calamar for 30 years or something silly like that, right? So it's like a whole bunch of reasserting. Once Discovery is up and running, it can jump from place to place to place. Like, I really want to know, like, like the core Federation world. So, like, obviously Earth isn't part of the Federation anymore. What about Vulcan? What about Andoria? What about Tellarite's home? I think it's just Tellarite. But like those core Federation members, like, I want to know the state of the galaxy of all the other races.
Same. I'm very curious to see what the Klingons are up to myself.
Klingons, Cardassians, if there's actually any Romulans left at all, things like that.
So one thing I was going to bring up is that actually, I didn't realize this, but the people of Earth One, the episode 3, which is the one they're at Earth, is a Jonathan Frakes directing. He is directing 3 episodes this season.
Yeah, I noticed his name in the credits. Good.
The next one is called. I'm looking at the episode titles. So we just saw Die Trying, and now we're into Scavengers. Will be the one that comes out tomorrow. So I'm going to be curious to see what that's about. And then Unification 3.
Oh,
The
God,
Sanctuary.
that's going to be. You know what? So we had Unification and Unification 2, Part 1 and 2. Those were basically both. That was a 2-part TNG episode where the Vulcans, that centered on Vulcan Romulan unification. I'm pretty sure that will probably factor into it.
Oh, okay, so that's a good point about you're right, because those are the episodes with Spock and Sarek within TNG. I remember those. So that's a really interesting because maybe in 900 years, Vulcan and Romulus have, or Remus, I guess, since Romulus exploded. Maybe eventually, after the Utopia Planitia thing in Picard, that the Romulans eventually emigrated to Vulcan, and the two races have re-entwined.
That's an interesting theory.
The one I'm really interested for, so episode 9 and 10 is called Terra Firma, which is a throwback to the Terra Firma party, which is the last couple of episodes of Enterprise. And then it's the Citadel, the Good of the People, and Outside. So filming for the next season has already started, and it runs until June of next year. So we're at least getting season 4, so that's exciting.
The mysterious song everyone seems to keep hearing. Theories on that?
Good question. I'm not sure. I have it in my notes as not sure why everybody knows this song.
I think it's more like everyone's heard of Frere Jacques. So I'm pretty sure. I'm thinking it may be nothing, but you know what? If they specifically brought it up, or if one of the main characters specifically brought it up, it's going to be some sort of plot point.
Yeah, I think it's important, and I don't know how yet, but I feel like it's related to the burn somehow. I don't know how.
Absolutely related to the burn.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't be such a big plot point if it wasn't, I don't think. And going back to the Trill episode, because I missed a note here, I thought it was really cool that the scenes with all the previous hosts and stuff, that was pretty cool.
Oh, that was well done. I really like that.
My theory, by the way, I have a theory about the Trills, and my mic cut out and I couldn't actually share it. So I think that it's not just that there's been some evolution, but one of the big things with the Trills is you have to be able to completely and totally accept the pairing, right? And I think maybe humanity is just getting to the point that we're able to do that now.
Oh, becoming
Before
evolved.
we were just too much about free will and shit that we just couldn't. But
it comes with side effects. So, like being able to see your previous host.
It's the whole id, ego, super ego, the whole psychology thing that I think that maybe humanity wasn't quite evolved enough to be able to let go. And I don't think it's that they were running out of hosts. I think that they were running out of hosts that were able to let go. See, that's my whole thing.
Makes sense to me.
Because there were still bodies, like people. It's just that it wouldn't work anymore.
Like the Trill are somehow becoming disconnected to their spirituality, whereas humanity's ascending to it.
Yeah. That's my theory.
I dig it. This episode also dealt a lot with Officer Non, who I actually really like, and I was sorry to see her go. I guess she's not gone, but she's left.
My problem with this episode is it just felt like the episode that Ariam died in, because it's like, oh, they're putting a lot of focus onto one particular character. That means she's probably going to leave or die by the end of the episode.
And I was sorry to see that character go too, because I thought she was super interesting.
The siege ship was cool. People are like, how come the siege ship's so far away and nobody knows it? But I'm like, it's Mark M, so it's like the 13th version of that ship.
I liked Saru's comparison with the Dark Ages and the Renaissance, which I found was a really good way of describing this sort of blank slate we're on now. Like, it's been the Dark Ages and now like the Renaissance of the Federation. It's a very cool Star Trek time to see what happens, and like, the whole blank slate thing is I'm super into it.
Plus, what is a Starfleet captain without references to 18th century Earth? I really liked Admiral What's-His-Face, too. I actually really like that actor in just about everything he's ever done.
All right, who's ready to talk some Star Wars?
Me.
All right, well, let's do episode 2, which is The Passenger. So that is the where Din takes the Frog Lady. I know a lot of people probably thought of this as a filler episode, but you know what? I still was like, yeah, this is still a good episode.
There was a lot of world building.
Yeah.
So let's see here. What do we got for this one? Baby Yoda eating the eggs was weird.
Baby Yoda was like the villain in this one.
The internet is not happy about the eggs.
It's not the first time like that you've seen Yoda eat like a reptilian egg of some kind, or like the whole frog that he eats in the first season.
Right? Like, why is the egg upsetting and the frog live and whole was fine? Like,
there are like petitions to cancel Baby Yoda in the 2020 sense because of the genocide he was doing by eating the unfertilized eggs of the last like line of this frog lady.
Who wants to explain
people are
chicken
stupid.
eggs?
Let's just keep on. Let's move on.
Like, seriously, who wants to explain chicken eggs to like people? Anybody that's lived on a farm long enough to be able to explain if they're fertilized, they make chicks. If they're not, we eat them.
This was very the child eating the eggs was very in keeping with his character. It was funny that it happened several times, enough to the point where Din was like, "No." But honestly, through this whole thing, I felt so bad for this frog woman who is like, with the ship's crashing and she is screaming. Her kids are in danger. Like, I was like, oh my God, please let this person get to where they're going.
But she created some quality memes.
She did.
Accurate.
I just love the fact that it, like, in the credits for that episode, it's literally just labeled as Frog Lady.
Was it really? You know, it's funny because Star Wars gives everyone a name and everything, but yeah, nope, just Frog Lady. Cool.
I thought she was like, she has to have some serious background to like set up her voice protocol for like the old droid that's hanging out in Din's ship. Like, I thought that was genius.
She had some tech skills.
The fact that the Mandalorian kept the droid is a very interesting thing if you think about it, because why would he keep it? He doesn't like them.
I guess if he took its head off, he felt a little safer.
Yeah, but like, why? Like, I mean, I guess maybe he thought he might need parts or trading or something later, but...
The Razor Crest actually has an R4 or R2 unit slot in it that he refuses to use, so why would he keep droid parts?
Yeah.
It also meant they got to bring Richard Ayoade back for a couple of lines.
Yeah.
Razor Crest got fucked. It was good to see that X-Wing scene that I get to pay off, and that they were definitely gearing up for a fight. But it was cool that they were like cops that are like, I don't want to pull you over, but if you stop being an idiot, or you don't stop being an idiot, I'm not going to have any options.
I just absolutely love the scene of watching them just like, oh, we're going to switch to a different channel, and then all of a sudden the X-Foils open up.
Oh, yeah. It's go time.
Like, oh, shit.
Now, here's what I found really interesting about that scene is Din speaking with them. And Din, so far, seems to know jack shit about the Jedi, and yet he is the one who says, may the Force be with you. So, like, how has he not put two and two together? As may the Force be with you, just a, peace be with you kind of greeting? Is it just a common
I think
greeting?
that's what it is. I think since it was kind of the rebellion's slogan, for lack of a better phrase, I think it's just kind of come on as like a sort of a galactic thing that he knows the rebels use.
Yeah, like, it's not even just that, but, you say things today, like the whole 9 yards and sayings today, and you're like, where did that actually come from? Like, what is the origin of this saying? It
That's
could
a
have gotten
great point.
lost
Sneezes.
with,
Like, if somebody's
time.
sneezing, we say, like, gesundheit or bless you.
Yeah, who knows what who knows what Gesundheit
right?
means? I don't.
We're not German, but we say it, so I suspect it's probably just a social nicety to say
Yeah.
That's the
right.
word I was looking for. Social nicety. I like that. So yeah.
The ice spiders in this episode, again, were unused concept art from Empire Strikes Back, which is yet another thing that has made it into Mandalorian or Rebels.
They're not technically unused. They were also in Rebels. They're called the Krykna.
My point being that this show and shows like it are using a lot of unused Ralph McQuarrie concept art. And they're using it faithfully, like the reproductions of when Kenobi wore that helmet, or these spiders and shit like that. Ship designs. They are using stuff that never made it into the movies, and I think that's awesome.
Good. This episode, my sister's girlfriend is really arachnophobic. As soon as I watched it, I was like, I have to give them a heads up that this is happening.
It got a little horror story, horror movie feel to it there for a bit. Yeah, things just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
I just kind of like the callbacks to the Alien franchise when he first goes up to the egg.
Oh my god!
He's like, no, cool. no, baby, no.
And we've all seen Alien. Get away!
I was yelling flamethrower a lot.
Yep.
You were too, Vinzer. You were actually like flamethrower.
Did I?
Now. Yes, you did. You were like flamethrower anytime, and then when finally he got it up, you're like, there we go.
It's like Spider 101, man. Flamethrower.
When I was watching the episode, I'm pretty sure I called it before the spiders actually showed up, when they were actually in the room. And you could see, in the background, you saw those little, bumps of the spider eggs. And, it reminded me exactly of the spiders from Rebels. When they first show up, it's literally just a mound in the ground.
The baby seems to be a little more interactive and I don't want to smarter, more self-aware, because he's the one that came over to Din and he kind of got him to follow him, as if to say the frog lady's missing, we have to go find her. But he does that without words. I don't know, the baby's even more self-aware than he was in season 1, I guess.
More manipulative.
Yeah.
A little bit
more childlike.
He's actually, yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense though. He's developing and he's like you would expect a kid to, but I feel like the weird thing though is he hasn't, there's been some instances where he'd be like, baby Yoda, use the Force, come on.
Yeah, it only seems to happen in really emergency situations like the Mudhorn or the Flame Trooper.
I thought maybe the giant spiders was an emergency situation.
Yeah, well, I would agree.
But no.
I don't know, maybe it's just because he's getting so much world experience by traveling around with Din, but I feel like his development is speeding up slightly because, it took him 50 years to get to the point where we saw him in the first episode.
And again, we don't know really shit about Yoda's race. So I had this idea that maybe after a sort of gestation period where he's a baby, maybe he'll start to mature quickly now. We just don't know. And they can basically make it up and it'll still be true.
Be like a whole kangaroo thing kind of too, you don't know how long it is before they're even in the world. They could be gestated for 45 years. You don't know. They could be in a pouch. We have no idea.
I'm still holding on to the idea that at some point the Emperor cloned Yoda before all the movies happened, and it never worked out and someone spirited him away or something. I'm still thinking this might be a natural clone of Yoda the same way Boba's a natural clone of Jango.
Oh my god, if that actually happens and I'm watching this with you, I'm going to go deaf because you're going to be so excited yelling at the television if that ever gets proved.
I would be just as happy if he just turns out to be a member of the same race and they're super Force sensitive, but it would make sense that given that timeline, 50 years would be pre-Clone Wars, episode 1, maybe when he started doing all this clone shit, he's thought far ahead and got a sample, one of Yoda's white hairs, and said, maybe I'll make a super soldier of my own.
Either that or it's Plagueis' attempt, a pre-Anakin Plagueis attempt.
Oh yeah,
it could
also
be something to do with Yaddle too. I've seen a lot of theories about it being Yaddle's child.
I could see that, but I think they won't do that just because most people, that's one of those side characters that's really supplemental information, and everyone would be like, who the fuck is Yaddle? Only we would know who Yaddle is, in Star Wars fans, right?
Yeah, out comes the BuzzFeed episode or the BuzzFeed article with 2 lines of content in it.
Or, it's just some like spoiled princess who just really wanted a cute pet.
I saw a cartoon today on Instagram. It was Din holding the baby with Ahsoka, and Ahsoka goes, "Oh, it looks just like a tiny Yoda." And Din going, "What?" Which is almost exactly what I said. He said, "Oh, it's a baby. It's a Mando Yoda, and that's why he'll end up being called Yando." I'm saying that now just in case it becomes true.
It's on the record.
Yep.
Flipping forward a little bit, the two rebel pilots coming back and helping out was pretty neat of them. The Kim's Convenience guy, apparently he's a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Cosplayer.
Is that right?
He's a member of the 501st.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
He does Imperial officer cosplay for the most part from the pictures I saw, but he does have some other stuff.
He also, when they were trying to figure out how to buckle everything in, he actually had to show them how to do it because he's built it a couple of times apparently.
Brilliant.
It's kind of funny.
Super stoked to put an actual like rebel, like X-wing helmet on. Like he was like, the Star Wars fan of me is dying on the inside right now.
So Din's halfway to having a friendship with the New Republic. They got him on Hollow of kind of being a good guy.
I like that they acknowledged it and then said, "But these are trying times."
They were still reasonable beyond expectations, though.
I think it's a leftover. I think it's leftover from the rebellion days. They understood that sometimes you have to do nasty shit, even if it's with good intentions.
It's a great point. The New Republic's like only like 5 years old at this point, if that, right? So like the rebellion was pretty much yesterday.
Exactly. So they figured out, yeah, okay, we saw the footage. We know what you were trying to do. We know what you did. We're just going to let this slide.
I like how he's like, "Will you help me fix my ship?" And they're like, "No."
Just fuck off. You dicks.
We saved you from a whole shitload of space spiders. You're good.
We also learned that Dave is apparently... So I watched an interview with the guy, and apparently Dave Filoni happens to be a fan of Kim's Convenience. And we got to see Dave again as his X-Wing pilot, which was cool.
I believe they were using A280 rifles, too, the kind that Raptor has and loves so much. The same rifles they used on Hoth, I think.
They were.
Not gonna lie, if I had the opportunity to be a background extra in a Star Wars anything, it would definitely be X-Wing pilot. Like, hands down, I would pick nothing else other than that.
Iconic. All right, let's move on to Mandalorian episode 3, or as I'm calling it, I was right.
I've been desperately waiting since they announced that Katie Sackhoff was going to actually get to be live action Bo-Katan. I was like ridiculously excited. So there may have been squealing when I saw her come in because obviously the night owl and her helmet. Because
ask Raina how much I was off the couch.
Not on the couch.
Just it was awesome, and I enjoyed her because they kind of took the edge off Bo-Katan for the animated series a little bit because they kind of made her, she was less angry
right
by the end of Rebels and stuff, but yeah, I feel like she's angry and now I'm pissed off.
Very driven.
She should be, because Darksaber, which was also very exciting. I would like to just tell everybody that is arguing about boob armor to shut the fuck up, because
word.
Oh, honestly.
Preach, sister.
It's not even boob armor, it's just armor.
Right? Like, that's the thing. It's just armor. And even if you consider, if they were arguing Bo-Katan's original armor, like the original armor, it was a little boob armory. Because it was essentially just two cups separated with the diamond, right? But that was like armor. And if you're arguing that any armor is driving any blow to the sternum, all Mandalorian armor is going to do that regardless.
The new style that they've been using in the show, it's really growing on me to the point where I'm going to make my own. But it's not the classic stuff like Fett's is more separated where you could get a knife through. But this stuff, it's like a cuirass. It's one chunk.
I don't understand the art.
Well, I've done a little bit of research on that. I'm not to step over you, but yeah.
Go. Are you angry about it, or are you happy about it?
Oh, I'm angry about it because people don't seem to understand. Mandalorian armor is not technically designed to be used to fight against weapons. It's a ballistic protection.
Right.
And ballistic protection
Yes,
is not
it's
designed to
bulletproof
deflect
vest.
it's not designed to deflect the blow, it's designed to absorb a blow. I mean, being Beskar, it does deflect blaster bolts, but if you actually look, and going it so far as to like a recent real world thing, like I had posted on that one comment thread earlier, female body armor for military people hasn't really been a thing until recently. So far as like the U.S. Air Force, just in June, put in an order for female armor.
Wow.
It's just like
What's-
I understand people who are coming from a medieval armor side commenting on it, and it's accurate. If you were actually obviously hitting somebody with a sword or whatever, obviously if you hit something curved, it's moving the blow to a central point, which is something you don't want. But that's not what this is.
No, let's face it. These people arguing about the boob armor, well, they're fucking neckbeards that just like.
They're just sad that they can't see cleavage.
Well, but that's what I don't understand. Like they can't win. Like if like people got upset about, or well, not upset, but people were going on about Phasma and the fact that she was just wearing guy armor,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, well, it's just armor.
They would condescendingly be like, "Oh, not to be offensive, but that's not very feminine." I'm like, why does it need to be?
But no, but they actually legit said that to her.
I know, yeah.
Well, like it's like some people have bigger boobs than others, and for some people, putting like regular Mandalorian plate on would be absolutely fine. For me, it would stick out. It would be dumb. Like it wouldn't lie flat on my chest. Like so.
And that's the problem that real world armor is having for females right now, is that like, well, there's a couple problems that they're having real world, is that the armor doesn't sit flat against the body, and it doesn't actually protect the important parts. I read something somewhere that says because female organs are actually sit higher than they do on a guy, so the armor has to be shifted upwards more to cover the actual vital parts of your body.
I am very excited. I am very excited that we're going to get see my girl Ahsoka.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to happen in the next episode.
Nor do
We'll
I.
have two. I think we'll have
They're going to torture me.
And you know what? You know what they're doing, and I knew they were going to do it. Everyone forgot about Fett, didn't they?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
expecting
no.
to see him in the background. Like I was saying this, and it's like you want to look in the background because I feel like he's following Din this entire
yeah.
season.
Keep an eye open.
Well, we don't know how much. Like, did he have a ship? I guess.
He'll get one.
So, but you know what I mean? Like, we don't know how much he could follow him because we don't know what transportation he has as
Right.
well.
The slave
Why would
one
he
was
stay?
destroyed.
Yeah. But if he had it, why would he still be there?
Right.
You know?
So, of course, we need to talk about the helmet thing.
Before we go to the helmet thing, I have one more fuck the haters thing.
Do it.
As this is Cryo. This is fuck the haters. Fuck all the haters who are like, Katie Sackhoff's age doesn't match up with how old Bo-Katan should be right now. She should look older. Fuck those people.
Oh,
Katie Sackhoff
man.
is hot.
She's awesome, and she loves this role. But I've somehow I stopped following her on Twitter, but I made sure to refollow, and she's a lot of fun, and I think she's great at it.
I would also like to point out, other than that this is only the second time in all of Star Wars media that you actually get to see a ship enter the atmosphere.
Which, fun fact, was an homage to Bryce Dallas Howard's father, apparently. She went shot for shot with his re-entry scene from Apollo 13.
Right, her father is Ron Howard, the director. So everyone here can, Raina can attest that the moment Bo-Katan reached up for her helmet, I got up off the couch again.
Oh, he's in a cult. That makes so much sense.
It really
Finally
does.
silencing the fucking internet about it.
Yep.
Feels like he's brainwashed though. Like he was
Christ, they
upset.
actually explained that.
I said he was like, you could see, you could feel. They portrayed how upset he was that he was like brainwashed into a cult. Like he was raised as a foundling and had no idea that he was in like this extremist section.
Hell of a wake-up call for him, and it definitely rattled him, and it does cast Din in a new light, because now he has to come to terms with this.
I still don't think he really understands what that means.
I just wanted to say that I brought this up. I thought it was very, very cool how they were like, "Ooh, you're one of those," but then they never mentioned it again. They never made fun of him for wearing his helmet. They never made a single comment afterwards about removing it. They just went on about their business.
Yeah, they just let him do his thing.
Other than Katie Sackhoff's or Bo-Katan's occasional jab of "this is the way."
I feel like it
So
was actually out of respect the last time, though.
It
Like the
wasn't
way that she
mean.
said
It
it.
was, yeah.
yeah, that's fair. So my new theory is that because they called them the Children of the Watch, which I'm assuming is an homage to the Death Watch, because we know from season 1 that that's who rescued him.
Mhm.
Maybe it's something along the lines of, clearly he got rescued from those droids before the end of the Clone Wars, so before the Siege of Mandalore, and then maybe like all the Death Watch people died and they got left by themselves with like a 14 or 15-year-old Mandalorian Death Watch person kind of like in
It
charge, and then that's how the cult started.
could be. Mandalorian splintering into subgroups is nothing new, like in the old Legends canon. And in fact, there was these guys called true Mandalorians and stuff. But the Death Watch were actually in old canon considered to kind of be the dicks that went around looking for trouble. But yeah, like Mandalorians splintering off. It's not a new concept, but I like the way they're doing it here.
Well, because if you remember from Clone Wars, the Death Watch were the extremists that wanted to take Mandalore back to the old ways, quote unquote. So maybe Bo-Katan's section of Death Watch was like less puritanical than the splinter cell that Din is in.
Yeah, well, my point being that in the old canon there was like there weren't they'd splinter, but there weren't any fucking pacifists the way there was in the Clone Wars. There was none of that. They were all still armor wearing warriors.
Goes back to the season 1 with the armorer and her helmet actually having horns on it, which would kind of make more sense with the fact that he would be a Children of the Death Watch.
Because like Nomad just brought up, like we took a stab at the reason that the armorer had horns on her head was that she might either be Zabrak, or they're in reference to when Mandalore was ruled by Maul, right?
Could be both. Yeah, Mandalorians are they can be any race technically. Yeah.
More traditionalist.
And that's the exact word I used in the last cast with my pose this theory. Not to just call attention to that I was right all along again, but I'm gonna. He talks about like old Republic Mandalorians, like he's like the way of Mandalore. Like these traditionalists are just really, really old school, like way old Republic type shit.
Do we want to talk about the cult anymore? Or do we want to get into more episode stuff?
Well, I think we need to talk about how awesome the fight scenes were, and Mandalorian pirates. What a great idea!
Could have thought of that. I did think during some of the fight scenes that Din kind of took a little bit of a backseat to the other three.
Or we're just so used to him kicking ass that suddenly there's 4 people kicking ass, and he did get his moment.
I think it's just kind of a case of he's used to working by himself.
Yes.
But we did see him work as a team with the other guys in the prison ship, so I'm not sure.
Not really a team, though. If you saw, he kind of went off on his own and took out everybody, leaving them to go, the fuck?
He did work with them as a team towards the end when he said, cover me, and then he ran out and did the sacrifice play.
And just got shot like 1,000 times.
Yep.
Good old Beskar.
Let the Beskar take it all.
A lot of people were, I saw, of course, because they like to fucking argue. No one hates Star Wars like Star Wars fans. People saying, oh, generational armor that Katan's wearing is not Beskar. And I'm like, we don't know that that's not Beskar. It's just like, Din's is unpainted and new. Like, it's shiny. That's why everyone's trying to fucking kill to get it. Din's is new and shiny, but like the stuff they're wearing, it's just painted and scraped. It's just older Beskar. But again, even if it's fucking Durasteel, it's still great armor. But like,
I liked all the Mandos, all 3 of them. I liked how they had slightly different armor styles. Like the 2 other Mandos had Din's kind of thigh plate look going on, but Bo-Katan had her OG, whatever she was wearing for Clone Wars. That was pretty cool. They were just ferocious.
Yeah.
I do like that there needs to be some sort of plan to retake Mandalore.
Oh yeah, Bo-Katan is driven. I like it.
Aside to that, but I'm really happy that they made a live action version of the Gazanti.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was pretty stoked for that. I was going to get into that in a few minutes because I've got some other notes. So the crash was pretty spectacular when he missed the landing pad. I have flashbacks of flying with Phoenix.
I saw the arm of the Mon Calamari, and I was like, "Fucking Mon Cals."
I figured Weewick is over in his bunk, probably.
I don't know if he's seen it yet. I haven't talked to him.
The AT crane tee, that was pretty neat.
Yeah, commercial use for the walker. That was kind of cool.
Thought it was kind of weird that Mon Calamari and Quarrens seem to be living on a planet relatively peacefully.
Yeah, and I maintain that's because they're not on their homeworld fighting over it. These are guys who moved away. What was the name of the planet? Trask or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's Trask, like Trask.
Right. I can tell you that I absolutely hate the Quarian sailors that shoved the baby into the beast pit. I hate them as much as those goddamn scout troopers from season 1, motherfuckers.
They're on my list.
I think they're on a lot of people's list now, yep. I really enjoyed the just classic episode 4 look of stormtroopers and Imperial shit in general. Like, that was, you don't know how much you miss it until you get a bit of it. It's like when we saw those stormtroopers in the first season.
Honestly, I was having flashbacks, like the colorings and the set style of like the bridge was just phenomenal.
I really like we're back to hardcore Imperial officers. Somebody joked on the internet that that one Imperial captain was more Empire than all of Admiral What's His Face from the sequels. He was more of an Imperial officer than General Hux was through 3 movies.
I found it very interesting about Gideon saying "Long live the Empire," and I'm wondering if, as the show and seasons progress, will we start seeing the Empire's first transitions into what will become the First Order?
So, also lending credence to whoever's posited that we'll probably not get Ahsoka next episode, but the episode after. So, episode 12 is directed by Carl Weathers. And then episode 13, which I guess would be 5, is the only episode directed by Filoni. So if there was ever going to be an episode that Dave Filoni directs live action, is most definitely going to be the one that Ahsoka shows up in.
Yeah, I bet you're right on that one.
I have a bit of a theory for that one.
You tell.
So I know that we're not going to get Ahsoka in the next episode, but it would make sense to me, and I don't know if there's been any kind of confirmation as to who is playing who yet, but if they are going to use Sabine's character, the next episode would be a good time to use that and maybe have her like ambush him or do something along those lines to try to see if he's worthy of running into actually Ahsoka, because you know that the two of them were traveling together at the end of Rebels.
Yeah, if Sabine shows up, I will freak out.
Well, so I'm looking at IMDb right now, and there is a little blurb up for episode 12. So it says the Mandalorian rejoins old allies for a new mission, and the little picture has Carl Weathers and Gina Carano there.
So he's going back to Navarro next episode.
Probably, yeah.
Probably to fix his ship, which is fucking Mon Cal fucked.
To see what the reason to go back to Navarro would be, though. Like, he's got his lead about where he needs to go with the child. So, like, why the hell is he going back to Navarro?
Because his ship's fucked. He's got to get it fixed properly.
Maybe. Or he could also try to find the armorer if she's still there and ask her questions about the cult.
You know what? That's probably a very good point, is that he would go back there for like questions like, what? We're in a cult? Hello?
I've met other Mandalorians and they have removed their armor. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Qu'est-ce que la fuck?
She'd probably call them heretics. Although this helmet thing does lend me to believe that my other theory about Din showing his face to the child by the end of the season might actually happen now.
It's true, because if he meets Sabine, that's just going to be one other Mandalorian that takes her helmet off in front of people.
And she's even mouthier than Catan or anybody. She'd be like, "Oh, come on! I bet you're handsome under there. Let's see you. Let's have a look at you."
She'd probably try to spray paint it blue.
Oh my god!
So man, if they spray painted his armor.
Oh, she tags the Razor Crest or something. I would love that.
3 stripes. Call your lawyer.
I enjoyed the Razor Crest redo with fishing nets. They're very chic.
Gave you 1,000 credits. This is the best you could do.
It's so hard on that ship. I feel bad for it.
Every time it takes off, I'm like, I can't believe he got it in the air again. Fucking good ships.
Worried about that face hugger, and then I'm like, Baby Yoda's probably just gonna eat it.
And he did.
That's what I was expecting.
One jumped on his face out of the soup. Was pretty funny.
Karma.
I really want the show to remain about the Mandalorian, and I don't really want it to weave itself into all the other Star Wars stuff because I like it just by itself, and I think that's the way it's best suited. But damn, I would watch an entire series based on Bo-Katan attempting to retake Mandalore. I would watch that in a heartbeat.
You know, if anything, I think the show is going to stay true to itself, and it's going to stay about Din and everything. It's the Mandalorian, but I could really see the success of this springboarding spin-offs like crazy if they wanted to. I want my damn Mara Jade show.
I'd be curious if they try to bring Thrawn back into it. Like if they find Ezra's with Thrawn, and then we could maybe get a little heir to the Empire.
I would be down for that.
I forget who the actor was, but there was that one actor that was like, "Oh, I'm putting on my Ezra beard," but then it was like it came out, it was like, "Oh no, I was just like it was like a joke." He said it was, and then it could be a deep fake. Who knows?
And the cool thing in Star Wars is two very important precedents have been set. Is that a character from Legends canon like Thrawn has been brought into main canon, slightly altered, but the essence completely preserved. And characters from animated series have jumped onto silver screen. Those two precedents, they open up the doorway to everything.
The only thing I didn't like about Thrawn and Rebels was Rook. I really didn't like Rook. I don't think he was used correctly.
I think he didn't have enough of a backstory like he did in the books, for my taste. I thought it was cool that they used him at all. All right, wrapping up for the night. Final thoughts.
Thank fucking God they have explained the helmet thing. That's done. It's over with. We can go back to normal now.
It's such a relief. Like I was waiting for when convention started back up for some fucking dickhead cosplayer, because God knows there's enough of those as Mandalorian. As soon as you take your helmet off, they'd be, "Oh, this is the way," which I would have told them to go fuck themselves. But now I just say what Axe said. Oh, you're one of those. That's such a good slapback.
I will go out and say that the last episode is probably my favorite episode of The Mandalorian so far.
Totally agree.
And you know what? It's weird. They're kind of following in their own footsteps. So like episode 2 was a big monster. Episode 3 was him and other Mandalorians.
I noticed that
so
too.
I'm very curious. I desperately hope this is not a Shrimp Planet episode, the next one.
I also do kind of hope that the episodes don't get any shorter than they are.
I think they'll stay around the 30-35 minute mark. That's basically what they did last time.
Although I suspect probably like the very last the last episode or episodes of the season, they'll probably stretch them out longer.
Yeah, because episode 8 of last season was 45, back up to 45 minutes. So
I just don't want them to overuse the child.
I think they have been a little bit. Also, the Mandalorian really needs to get him a pouch.
Oh yeah, his pram's gone now, and Queel's not around to build another one. Although it'd be cool if they got back to Navarro and they found Queel, like, "Why did you bury me? I was still fucking alive."